Hey, everybody. It's the holidays, and it's a time to be grateful and merry. And that's why we're here. We're here to be grateful and merry for you and for us. We're being merry ourselves. It's recap time. We're going to recap our recaps. So this is the rewatchables of our top 25 tours. It's very meta. We're recapping our recaps, and I hope everybody enjoys it. This is it's not quite as nerdy as the draft, but it's gonna get there. Brian, Megan, how you guys doing?
Arguably nerdier.
Maybe. Maybe.
Like we could just like let it be, but we have to have one final word on this project that we've spent the last 12 months working on. So I think
true.
that there's a bit more nerdism, but I'm into it
could-
either way.
We
Yeah,
could
I feel
just
like
let
there's
it be there.
we could, but I think there's an element to the draft that's like a little bit cool because it's competitive. But this is just we did this huge project. It took all this time. We said a ton, and now we want to talk about what we would have said differently, or maybe
Yep.
to say it's a way for us to get another final word. It's pretty
Yeah,
nerdy.
I mean, we gotta like recap ourselves. So we'll see how this goes. I just want to say first that I was in Northampton, Massachusetts on Thursday night, and the number of HF Pod fans who were there was incredible, and the crowd itself was incredible. But I had so many people come up to me and thank me and you two both for this show, and so it was nice to see everybody in person. Many people talked about their favorite episodes of this top 25 series. A couple of people talked about where they were, and some people are catching up. So it's great to have people listening and tuning in. And the reprise show was awesome. So it was fun.
Yeah, you had a
Yeah,
big
they
crowd.
sounded good. Everything you sent sounded great.
They're great. It's just starting, as they say. Guys, can we start with one voicemail real quick? We got two important ones to get to this week. Can we start with one just to kind of set the stage here?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay. It's happening. To it. All right.
I really appreciate the recap of Top 25. One idea for the future might be maybe most important fish shows. I don't know how you put those together. I just know for me, something like a 12/31/93, and you guys could probably list tons and tons more, but it might be interesting to just, it doesn't have to be the best shows, but the most important shows, why they were so important to fish history.
Ooh, love
This
that.
guy. This
Love
guy's got an
that.
idea.
I love that. I also
I know.
like that it's shows and not tours. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that, some ink has been spilled about ideas like that in that realm. So that's a good idea.
Yep. There's a couple more suggestions coming later, but we are going to, we need to thank you for all the free entertainment. Look at this. We got people, we got, God, this is just so great. Everyone's see, I told you guys, this is about celebration and being grateful and merry. So,
is another way that people can be merry.
How?
Come to our happy hour.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Such a good
You
point.
can come to our happy hour on the 29th pre-show. I'm going to be there. RJ's going to be there. Lots of other Osiris family people will be there, I'm sure. And we're going to be hanging out at the Irish Exit, which is in the Moynihan Train Hall, right across the street from MSG. So come say hi. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. You can tell RJ why he lost the draft.
I don't think you should do that, but I will say that this is the Irish Exit in Moynihan Train Hall. It's the only bar I've ever been to so far, and I might just be not very smart, but it's the only bar that I've been to that has an NA beer on tap, and having like a draft
I
NA
didn't know
beer
that.
is pretty cool. Yeah, I found that out last time I went there. It was great. Brian,
Call me when they have a topo on draft. All right.
Okay.
Seriously.
Well, Brian's gonna make his way to New York City in March for some shows that are not yet to be announced, or yet to be announced. I mean,
Not yet.
Brian?
Not yet.
It's happening, right, Brian? It's all happening.
It's happening. I just threw something in our private chat about an idea about that. So, we got things are percolating. We're done with this series. We're on to the next one. The best advice I ever received when finishing a prior creative project is don't get sappy and reflective. Just move on to the next thing. This is just something that someone may mention at your funeral. Just keep going.
I think that's totally fair. I think that's where we are. All right. So we did 25 episodes. We covered 25 fish tours. Do you guys have a guess about the total number of shows that we covered in those 25 tours?
It's got to be really high.
Here because he can do the math. I'm gonna guess somewhere in the realm of 450.
I was going to say
Okay.
like 350.
660.
Holy shit. Are you kidding me?
Which means that the three
Winter
of us
Spring
have,
'93 doesn't fuck around. Tell you what.
Yeah, exactly.
so the three
Those
of us
early 90s.
between the three of us, we have at least looked at the set list of, if not listened to, 660 different shows this year. Isn't that
In one
crazy?
calendar year. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that definitely explains the oversaturatedness, I feel.
The madness. The madness.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
That's a
Been on a
lot.
journey.
But it was
We've
a,
been
it
on
was
a
a
journey.
total labor of love. I mean, think about like
Totally.
this band has been in all of our lives. For you guys, since you were teenagers. For me, since I was in the womb, probably. They've been in our lives forever, and yet still at this point, we had it in us to explore them in even further depth and go back and re-listen to things and listen with new perspective. It's a very, very cool thing. Very happy to have been a part of it.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that to my dad last night. We were hanging out and I was explaining this series to him. And you know how parents like they listen to like selectively to what you say. And so I was like trying to explain this process in a series. And I was explaining that this is why this band has meant so much to me, is because there's still so much to uncover. Like I feel like I still have things to learn about this band, even after 40 for 40 and the Top Tour series. That's just, this band is a Pandora's box. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Well, we have some topics to
That's it.
talk about. I have one voicemail that I'm going to play at the appropriate time, but with 660 shows, 25 tours, 25 episodes. Well, let's just start with this top question. Did your Megan, our YouTube viewer, wants to know if your dad thinking having Fall 95 over Fall 97 was crazy. That would be awesome.
That would be amazing. My dad doesn't have an opinion on that because he's very ignorant about that, but he did have thoughts about me and my feelings about Goose and where they are right now. So, and in relation to Fish and their journey. So that was an interesting part of our conversation that he knew more about.
Do you feel attacked in any way, or did he agree with you? Because I've had this conversation with a couple of people, and it's whew.
Well, you know what I was explaining to him was like, that's why I feel like it's a little unfair of what I'm thinking about Goose right now, because I'm putting this pressure of, are you going to be this next thing that is something I can think about for the next 30 years in depth? And my dad was saying, well, how long have they been a band and how long has Fish been a band? So it's very unfair to compare those in any way. And I thought that was helpful perspective.
If only you had a friend who would like say that consistently over and over again, you know?
But it's
Maybe
different when it
someday.
hits from your dad, you know?
Yeah, true.
I think they're a
all
fun
right.
band. They're a fun
They
band.
are fun, see? It's
Very
all about
wise
fun.
So
people have
much
told me
fun.
they're a very fun band.
People are saying,
All right. Guys, let's go.
Guys.
Let's go. Is there
Let's
any
go.
tour that we did not put in the top 25 that you think should have been in the top 25?
I think this is a very good question. I think that there are, from what I can tell, there are 4 choices that could have worked. 2 definitely, I think there's an argument to have been made to go in there. 2 that I think we could make a wraparound argument for a variety of reasons. The 2 that I think definitely should have somehow found their way in there are Summer 2012 and Summer 2021. And this is not talking Summer 2024 because we made this list deliberately at the end of 2023. So we did not count anything from 2024 in this. That'll be for 10 years from now when we need to rehash this in 2034. The other 2 tours, well, and I guess I'll just say those 2 tours, 2012, Summer 2012, Summer 2021, I think had really big impacts on Fish as they were evolving at a critical point. Summer 2012 coming out of a kind of lackluster New Year's Eve in 2011, a bit of an up and down 2011. A lot of questions around what is 3.0 actually going to really be. Is it just going to be kind of a rehash of fun things without ever really getting there? And summer 2012, a lot of rarities, some really great jamming, and then it ends with Dick's the Dick shows that really kind of pivoted them in the future. And then summer 21, coming out of the pandemic, I think everyone expected it to just be a fun hang, and it turned out to be this like dead serious tour that only gets overshadowed by fall 21 because fall 21 was so excellent. Very quickly, the other two tours I would vouch for are fall 2000, because I think it holds up a lot stronger than the Reputation, and it being the last tour before the hiatus. There's a lot of really interesting emotional stuff that happens on that tour. And fall 2010 would be my slight maybe, because in the moment, that was the tour. They were doing all these tiny indoor hockey arenas in the Northeast leading up to Halloween. It was a very richly nostalgic tour. Shows like Augusta, Maine, Utica, one of the nights of Amherst, the Manchester, New Hampshire show, 10:30. There were a lot of these weird segues, interesting jams. There was those hijinks, the gimmicks that brought you back to 94, 95 Phish. That was really, really important in the moment. Maybe it hasn't aged as well, but I'll pause there. Those are my 4 tours I think could have gotten in.
Yeah, I felt that summer 21 had a really good argument. I totally agree with your argument there. The only other one that I was thinking about, and I feel like it's definitely on the fence for me, but Europe Winter Tour 97. Obviously, they weren't at their new sound yet, but they were workshopping this new sound. And this is them trying to find that new sound and writing a bunch of new music and playing small venues and trying to discover what this new sound can be. And I think contextually, it's just really important to like where they're going. And also it's some of the first early uses of like deep ambience. And I think that's just important for their sound.
That Amsterdam show alone, like, holy crap.
Yeah, and a lot of debuts and a lot of like stage setting for the rest of the year. Well, the highest ranked by the fans that didn't make the top 25 were fall 99, which was ranked 14th by fans, but we did not respect that. 97 winter.
Do you think people thought that meant winter too? Because that I don't understand that ranking.
I think it had to, or people just really like the 914.99 bag.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I don't go back to that tour a lot, but I think it's pretty. I think between the 914 show, like the 929 show, people like the shows later on in October. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I don't think it should be on there, but I think 21 is a good call. I mean, in addition to all the stuff you guys said, there's like the way that tour unfolded musically, summer 21 with the Shoreline show, and just there like the number of historic jams that came out of that tour is like pretty incredible, along with all the other points that you guys made. So I feel like that could have been up there.
Definitely.
We should also note that the fans asked for 91 Summer Giant Country Horns Tour. That's what they ranked as number 24. We did not include that. I think that we opted for Spring 92 and Spring 93 in that setting, seeing those as potentially a little bit more important in terms of their next steps. The 91 Giant Country Horns Tour, though, that's a ton of fun. I think the fans were right to at least acknowledge that. There's some great stuff there.
Yeah, but I think that's more symbolic, right? Like, because you get
that's how I
listen
feel
to
too.
those shows. It's like a lot of repetition. It's kind of the same show.
Yeah, it's like an alternate universe for Phish where like you only need to listen to one show a tour to know how the tour sounded.
Yeah,
you listen to like Townsend Park and you're like, cool, that sounds awesome. I don't know if I need to do 10 more of these.
Well, to me, it's not indicative of Phish because it sounds like one sit-in for the entire tour, and they're not a sit-in band. And I don't think it sounds like them developing their sound at all or evolving, or I don't know. I think it's like a giant sit-in tour.
We should cover if Phish is a sit-in band when we get to summer 2024.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to talk about there. Okay. All right. So we covered that. We got into the stuff that didn't get ranked. Oh, you know what? Here, Brian. You know what? We had this person say. Here, I'll just tell you. You know what? You know which tour we missed?
What?
We were told by a fan in this voicemail about
Oh, perfect.
what the actual best tour is. You ready? This is good. You guys are gonna love this.
Can't wait. Pins and needles over here.
Yep. Just hold. Just be patient.
New York calling in with more complaints. I thought about 98 this time, but I really did enjoy your giant listening project of the top 25 tours. But unfortunately, you got it wrong. It's not 97 either. It's the simplest thing. It's always right. The best tour is the next tour. It will be the correct answer until Coventry 2.0. I do also have a suggestion for an upcoming draft. Maybe do a draft of runs. All of those great shows that you guys left out from the top 25 tours. New Year's Eve runs, destination shows like Vegas, Mexico, even Dick's. You could also include highlights from the past like the Island Tour. You can even get creative and just have 3 to 4 night capsules that were in larger tours. I love what you guys do. Thanks for including us. Bye.
So there it is.
That's a take.
Best tour is the next tour.
Until it's
Sick.
not.
That's a take. I do think that the caller has a really great suggestion about the runs. I think there's a world. He just gave me an idea for a draft that is slightly different from what he suggested. But I do think that we will be exploring runs at some point. We'll just say that. At some point, we will be exploring runs because yes,
Yeah.
leaving
Yeah.
out 4-night runs and really, really good 4-night runs was kind of intentional and also ripe for deep exploration. There's really nothing like being on a killer isolated 4-night run. Like if MSG this year turns out to be epic and you're going on the 29th and the 28th was great, and you got the 30th to look forward to, and there's rumors about New Year's Eve, like that is a 4-day silo in time that like just wrap that up for me and give it to me every year for Christmas. Please.
What if you're only going to the 29th?
Then you should hope that they start pretty solid on the 28th and are ready to prove something on the 29th.
And it's the 25th anniversary of the Providence Bowie. So, maybe you'll have good vibes.
You're going to get someone's hopes up about David Bowie
know.
going into 2025.
I'm not supposed to
Come
say
on.
that out loud.
Come on.
All right, guys.
Trey, are
are
you
there
listening?
any?
Seriously, Trey, like we just don't even believe anymore.
Are there any tours that shouldn't have been on the list? Shouldn't have been in the top 25?
This is going to be an interesting conversation. Do you guys have tours that should not have been on the list?
I have some thoughts.
Meg?
I actually don't. I mean, I think looking at the list, I'm looking at what the fans rated really low, and I disagree with those. I really like.
Sure.
I like our list. I don't know. I feel like our list is really, really comprehensive. I feel like the places where we differed from the fans were really contextual and thinking about the band's evolution and historical importance. And so, no, I feel good about this list.
I have a
RJ,
couple ideas.
you have a funny look on your face. What do you think?
I still think that the 2023 spring is like a little bit of a stretch. It was ranked 32 by fans. It's barely a tour. There's 8 shows. It was great to be able to listen to most of them because there were so few shows, but it was like it barely made the list in terms of the number of shows. I think the shows are good. I mean, I think they're good. They're really good shows, and it was fun to go back to them. But I think in the totality of what we looked at, I think like out of those 8 shows, there's like 3 out of the 8 that are like fine, and then there's like 3 that are like great, and then a couple in between. So like I guess that's the one that in looking at the whole top 25 list, I think that's the one that doesn't fit for me.
Would you
I get
take
that.
out Japan 2000 for the same reasons?
Maybe, although that has just such like a higher percentage, I think, of shows. I was looking at the .NET ratings earlier, and the spring 2023 shows are like not very highly ranked. Like a lot of them are below 4 out of 5 on fishnet, which I found surprising because I
That
thought
is surprising.
Yeah.
there's some really interesting gems in a lot of those shows, but I just think it's like less powerful than the Japan. The Japan tour was like this really monumental thing, and I guess the 2023 spring tour felt a little bit like not that important in the overall context of Fish.
I think for me, it felt important just because of it being their 30th year or 40th year, excuse me, and them delivering at such a high level in terms of like diversity of jamming and pushing themselves in jamming. And I don't know, it came after a year when I think maybe they needed to, like 21 was so good. And I think people were curious about what 23 was going to be like.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I thought this was a very important tour. I definitely see some of the arguments you're making. I think, and maybe this is very personal bias, so I could be guilty of it. Similar to what you said, Meg, it was a pretty important tour for me. I had a lot of questions about Fish coming out of 2022, and I was starting to look around at a younger crop of bands, and I was like that guy in the meme, just like looking back and being like, "What else is out there?" And then they played the 2023 tour, and I was like, "Oh, don't ever doubt these guys again." And I don't think that they've missed a step since then. I have 4 possible choices. I want to say, similar to you, Meg, I think that I'm proud of our list. I'm proud of what we ultimately did. I'm proud of the rationale, but I just want to pose these out there. There's no order here. Just this is what came to mind. Fall 2018. It's very good. Very, very cool sound on it. I think that there is a question of if you're thinking about late period Fish and big transitions, the biggest transition happened in the Baker's Dozen. Fall 2018 was kind of a after effect of that. Really good jamming, but like didn't really change the trajectory of the band. 2019 is a little bit of a strange reset year. Obviously COVID happens, and then where we're at from 2021 onwards feels like a totally different beast. So there's a part of me that thinks like we put that in there as a late stage 3.0 high point that may not be an all-timer. What do you guys think about that before I say my next one?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Go ahead, RJ.
Well, no, I would just I'm a little more biased toward this tour only because like I saw the Hampton shows and then I saw did we see Halloween together, Brian, or the day we watched it first?
No, I didn't go to Vegas. I did the Southwest, and then I came home and sent my wife out on tour, and I took over the kids for Halloween.
Is that not the night? Is that not the tour where we went to the Disco Biscuits show after the 11-1 show?
Oh, sorry. That was 2018, not 21. Yes. 2018, we saw 11-1 together, and then we went to the Disco Biscuits. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I saw a lot of these shows, so I mean, I thought these shows were. I guess maybe I liked this tour like more than the 23 tour.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. For me, I think this is the first like incredible non-gimmick tour since like 2015. If you take out the Baker's Dozen, because it was such an isolated thing. And I think if you think about Kasva Vox and like what that did to inspire them and the new music, is that definitely that's a model that they've continued to use. And I think it's important moving forward for them.
I guess I don't know how Kasva Vox has inspired them, would be my
No. The idea of it, I don't think the music has, but I think like the idea of creating music together that is specifically for one thing. Think about Sci-Fi Soldiers and what that did for jamming. Like I think that process is really important for them.
That's a good point. Okay, I get that now. I love that you figured out a way to praise Sci-Fi Soldiers and all.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe I just putting you in that position.
Yeah, and what I will say is that I think in both of those instances, the music has not been the product that we've enjoyed. It's the jamming, but I do think
it's like the creative process.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it inspires really good jamming, and yeah, I don't know. I think there's an argument for both here. I could see it being taken out or kept in.
And I want to just be clear. I think we did right. When I was thinking about this, I was like, maybe that's the one later. The other 3, and I'll go a little quicker. These are 90s tours because we have a lot from the 90s. And I was trying to think like, where do we not get critical enough to say this, but not this? And so the
Mm.
next one I would obviously that's obvious to me is Fall 98, which was ranked number 7 by the fans. It was ranked number 15 by us. And when I listened through this tour, it was the one tour of this entire series where I was just like, there's good jams, there's some good shows, there's some really big shows up front, but overall it really feels like they're kind of treading water, and it doesn't feel like they're trying to find a new sound. It sounds a little tired. It really hinted to me at where they were going to go into the hiatus and then the 2.0 era and all the negativity swirling around that era. It was the one tour where I listened to this entire series and didn't find myself necessarily more inspired than I did
Mm.
on another tour that I already had like
Hmm.
preconceived notions on. What do you guys think about that?
I think like the Hampton shows, which I was at, which are like so famous, are like they're not very good shows. I think a lot of that tour
Yeah.
is kind of like that. It's like fine. There's not a lot of pushing. I mean, besides like, the USC AC/DC bag and the Van
Yeah.
Andel Haley's, there's like
Yeah.
there's isolated moments of brilliance, but I kind of agree. I don't go back to that tour very much. But that's interesting. Megan, what do you think?
Yeah, this tour, listening back, like there's some jams that just stop you in your tracks, but overall it's very inconsistent. I mean, some of the setlist construction is really, really bad. And I think the tour starts off stronger than it ends, which is weird. Yeah, it's not sloppy, but it's not, the tour as a whole piece isn't super inspired, I think.
Incredible Perp makes a great point. Worcester, the Wipeout show, similar to
Oh,
what
yeah.
RJ said, the Hampton, the Van Andel, what is that? Grand Rapids, the
Yeah.
Yeah,
UIC, the Vegas show. Like there were moments, the Dark Side of the Moon, but I think to RJ's point, these were islands, and it's not like
Yeah.
you've ever picked up steam for like 4 shows. Like if you think about Fall 97, there's like multiple moments where like 4 or 5 shows in a row absolutely crush, and you just don't really get that here.
Yeah, there's some moments that are like edge of your seat fish in these shows.
Yes.
Like, for sure. Like energy
Moments.
dynamics, like off the charts. And like it's that druggy 90s, like it's awesome. But they're moments.
My last 2, just really quick, are I blame myself entirely for these, okay? I feel a lot of pressure when trying to contextualize and rank fish because of when I came on the scene, and there's always that like caveat. And so I always try to give as much due praise to non-jammy mid 90s tours. Somewhat of a overcorrection character flaw, I will admit. And I think that we may have done that with 2 tours, that I think the tours around it, including it, would have outweighed these tours being here. And that is Spring 93 and Spring 94. I think there's a great reason why they're in here, but I do think there is a sense of, if you take out Spring 93, but you still have Spring 92 and August 93, you've done justice. If you take out Spring 94 and you still have August 93, Summer 94, Fall 94, you've done it justice. Like, I think that there was a sense of like, we listened to a lot of 93, 94 fish. Maybe that's because they were at the peak of their powers musically and like speed wise, and they were evolving so quickly, but it might have also just been because if you don't have those tours, you're going to get a lot of blowback.
I would say definitely I can hear that argument for 93. That tour was ranked 25 by fans, 17 by us. I think for us, that was a real historical importance placement, it felt like. But
100%.
yeah, I mean, I think historically it is crucial. And I think that's the one thing that has been really hard to weigh in this project is what weighs more, narrative flow of a tour, incredible jamming, setlist construction, or the importance of what this tour did for the band moving forward. And I think that's a balance that we're constantly trying to strike. But I could see the 93 going out. I don't know. I think Spring 94, I don't know. I think it's important to have.
Yeah.
Mr. Weinstein with the Context Matters tweet
He
of the
knows.
day. Thank you.
He knows.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, Spring 94. I mean, it was also like one of those tours that was, whatever, like 100 shows, right? With like,
They were both.
Right.
The 93 was
and the 93
huge.
too. I think
It was
94
like
is a
4
little bit
months.
harder to get through. 93 was like, I just think that's such a fun tour, but both really long.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing though in that 93 tour, just like over
Yeah.
and over again.
I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just like looking at the rankings. We kind of did it justice. I think that we talked about the ones that were kind of outliers.
Yeah.
Okay, where would summer 2024 go?
I have a feeling about it.
I want to
I
hear.
I
have
it.
don't
I have a
I
feeling
don't
about
know if I don't know if this is a major like hasty rank, but I crunched the Meg's Corner data, and
Oh
there are
yeah.
26 shows and 91 jam chart entries. So it's 3.5 jams per show, which is in the mid to low range of like the really elite tours. But if you think about how diverse and expansive and narrative these jams are, I think that balances that lower number out. Also, contextually, think about a band playing this strong of a tour in their 41st year. To me, that makes it a higher contender. So I would put it, I don't know if this is blasphemous, but I would put it between 11 and 12. So winter 2003 above it for sure, but summer 2017 below it. You know, I think about summer 2017,
Wow.
they're like, yes, they're like discovering jamming again, opening up the catalog. Winter 99, I'm definitely below it too because of like the repetitive jamming. But I think that this, like some of the jams on this summer, like to be fair, I've completely forgotten summer 2024 because like I've been crunching a fucking shit ton of fish these last few months. But when I do think back on this summer, it was pretty crazy considering where the band is in their career right now.
Wow.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that insane? RJ seems to think that's crazy.
I mean, putting it like just like, I'm not saying that you're saying this, but I'm gonna pretend that you said that you would rank this summer over the spectacle and event that was the Baker's Dozen, which is crazy to me. No
The
offense.
Baker's Dozen, though, is
You're
it's a
crazy. No
gimmick.
offense.
Yeah, but exactly. Don't take this the wrong way. You're fucking nuts. I think the to me, and I have a strong feeling about this, and I think maybe I'm on an island with this feeling, but a tour that has a gimmick or a strong kind of like guideline to how the shows are going to be, to me, it confuses me about where it lies because
Mhm.
a tour that is pure, just a plain tour. I don't know. Is it harder to do that? Of course, the Baker's Dozen. It changed my life. It's the reason I'm sitting in this chair right now. But I don't know if it was a construct.
Yeah, and Brian makes the point that the Baker's Dozen wasn't a tour, which I understand definitely that fact. And I'm not saying it was a tour. I'm saying that if we're putting 2024 summer tour over it, we're saying musically it's better or more important than. I just think the Baker's Dozen was so legendary that it seems hard to put a recent tour over it.
I get that.
I think it should be in the top 25. I would put it like, maybe above maybe around fall 2013, I guess is where it
Where's
would fall
that?
for
What
me.
number is that right now? 17?
16, 17, 18. It could just replace 2023 spring tour and that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I think it would be in the high teens. I think that's where I'd put it. Brian, where do you put it?
10. And to
Wow.
Mr. Weinstein's note, yes, you're right. The Baker's Dozen was on a tour. We did all of summer 2017. I think to what Megan is saying, the majority of the tour, the reason why you think about that tour is the Baker's Dozen. Yeah, I'd put it 10. I think the only tour since the hiatus to be stronger than it in terms of, and maybe this is just a personal thing of why I listen to this band, but that sense of them taking the stage and there being I have no idea what's about to happen, but I know I'm about to hear something I've never heard before. I know I'm about to see them do something and like create something together in the moment in front of me, which is the reason I go see them. Like you can go see a lot of bands and get the same thing that they are doing. You can go see a lot of art and never actually see the process of creating a painting. You go see a movie, you don't actually get to like go on set and watch that movie happen. When you go see Phish, you watch them actually create the music in the moment and figure it out. And sometimes it sucks and sometimes it's amazing. And the only two tours that I can think of since the 1.0 hiatus to really get to that level are fall 21 and summer 2024. I think you make a really strong argument for the Baker's Dozen being this, we're going to force ourselves to do something under the guise of a really fun, fishy gimmick. And it's going to play to both the humorous mythology of this band and like the stat chasing and all the nerdism that like we all go there for, even though we try to be cool. And then it's also going to have these like really sick, very serious moments that you listen back to now 7 years later and you can hear a turn in their career. But I do think, and we talked about this a bit during that recap, I do think that summer 2017 jamming does not hold up 7 years later the way it did even 3 or 4 years later. I think that they're just so much stronger now that it's hard to, if that's like the last point here, that's the thing I'm going to take over the top. So, yeah, I just think when you go through like the level of playing that they were at coming into Great Woods, the first night in Mohegan, trying multiple 40-minute jams on nearly back-to-back shows. The Deer Creek run is really deep, exploratory, wild music. Say what you will about a sit-in for 2 nights. I think them having Billy up there and jamming with him was a really special thing. And really, I think big picture wise, we're going to look back at it as like a really special, like symbolic moment. The Bethel run was really deep.
One of them was great.
One of them was great.
first
Yeah.
one.
But like even just the fact that he came out and like, I think that there was something good in the second night. But anyway, like Mondegreen had that first night that I would still put up there as one of the 5 best shows of the year. I think the Woodlands Jam is still one of the most impressive things they've ever played. And then Dick's was on a totally different level. And man, I went back and listened to Albany. And I guess now we're not in summer tour anymore, but like that third night of Albany is like on a high level as well. Like they're just playing really well right now. And you get that over the entirety of summer 2024 in a way that even my 2 favorite 2.0 tours have a little bit more of a dip and a little bit more uncertainty. I just don't think there was a ton of uncertainty this year.
Yeah, I would say that like the level of consistency is really, really high. I would still put Winter 2003 above it.
That is non-attendance bias right there, because that was my first show. So like we are actually debating in critical territory, which is an exciting
No,
thing.
and that's like 2003. Like those tours completely like blew me away during this project in a way that surprised me.
Okay. I think you guys got a little bit of recency bias, but it's okay. We're gonna. It's fine. I mean, I think like there's like one night of Great Woods that's like okay. There's like one night of Mohegan that's not as good as the other. I don't think it's as like you guys are treating it like it's like Fall 97. Like every show was just outrageous.
I just think it's better. I think it's better than some of the tours, most of the tours below it.
Okay, I'm just
if you put it at like 11 or 12. I'm
just saying that the second night of Mohegan has 0 jam chart entries, so that's fine.
That's a fair take.
Find that on Fall 97. Come back to me in number 10.
But we're not saying it should be 1.
Yeah, I'm not saying it should be on par with Fall. I think what would be interesting, and I'm surprised I didn't do this year, but like I think it'd be interesting to tier these off, because I think that there's like top 3 tours, and then it drops off, and then a couple more. Like
we can only do that if you would name the tiers, Brian. You're only allowed to do that if you name the tiers.
I'll work on that for the blog post.
Okay, it's really my fave.
Okay,
what was our question here? And I just think that this is like to clarify things. Is that the Rubik jam chart entries? No, but that's part of it.
It's part of it. It's part of it for sure.
The rubric is. I mean, yeah, the rubric is.
Also, I'm just making stuff up. I mean, if Brian wants, and if you think that I'm like that, I have like a sheet here with a bunch of like graphs and stuff for the arguments I'm making, then. No, like I'm just kind of saying stuff. I'm just saying stuff to try to make this entertaining.
Just Weinstein, I have pages
second
of
screen right now.
Pages of notes.
I just think if we're talking about, I also think there has to be a cooling off period before you rank tours in the broader scheme of things, because.
Yes, I was
okay. Fine, but you asked the question.
It was hasty. I
don't think it's hasty.
It was actually your question that I asked.
I will stand by this take. You all can come at me in 5 years when you're like, bro, if you listen to Summer 2020,
Can you actually say it's my question if you're the one who who wanted to ask the question, but I just said it?
We have been talking about this
I know,
collectively
I know.
as a group
Yeah.
since what? Midsummer?
Mohegan
Like,
Night
what do
2.
you rank
Yeah.
this tour? What did we do?
Mohegan
Mohegan Night 2.
Exactly.
It's good.
Since Mondegreen.
It's good. It's great. I
but I
can't
do
believe
think
though,
it's-
Megan Mondegreen, and now we're top. We're kicking Summer
First of
2017 to
all-
the curb after Mondegreen.
This is what
I
I'm
just
talking about. She's not
I'm
employing
not
attendance
being
bias here.
10's bias.
That's true.
Also, I loved Mondegreen until Dick's happened. I loved Mondegreen until day 4. Then I was a little bit sad. And then Dick's happened. And then I was fucking crushed. But it's fine. I'm moving past it. But the Dick's run alone was fucking amazing. Like that, I don't know. I just think that
Dick's was pretty good this year. I would agree.
Dick's is pretty good. But to Brian's question about the rubric, it is interesting to think about, because I think we each had slightly different rubrics. There wasn't like an 8th grade English teacher rubric like I think you would want, Brian Weinstein, but it was definitely, I think we agreed upon kind of the standards and the questions we'd be asking ourselves about how to rank them.
I want to say that it was really hard for me to get into Summer 2024 because I had listened to 300 Fish shows leading up to Summer
Yeah.
2024. So I think and same thing happened with the Albany shows for me. Like it like obscured my ability to absorb new Fish because I was just listening to shows literally constantly. So
I
I
know.
think maybe my ranking will go up over time.
Yeah, I actually felt that when we came back after summer tour, because I felt like it was so good. And then I think I went back to winter 99 and it was just like the same thing over and over again. And I was like, I can't listen to this. I've been listening to like incredible new Fish. So it went both ways.
I mean,
It's hard to do this kind of a project. I don't know.
No, it doesn't affect Brian. Brian's just been cool, calm, and collected all year. Listen to
He
7 million shows.
consume so much information and like synthesize it. It's a little bit harder for me.
I don't know what
I think
to
it's
say,
hard.
guys. We're not talking about the stock market here, so I know what I'm talking about.
Megan, I just want to I just want to applaud your courage for moving beyond Mondegreen. I know it's
She
taken a while,
hasn't.
but
She hasn't. It's still there.
all right. What was our biggest misrank as a group?
I know what it is.
Oh
Go
wow!
on.
It's number 1.
Oh
Misranked
wow!
Number 1.
Going straight for it.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 other ones that I think are overrated, but one of them is going to make you really sad because we just talked about it. I think Winter 99 and 2017 Summer are a little overrated, but I think especially like listening to those in the context of the project. I mean, we talked about it, but Summer 2017, take the baker's dozen or just isolate it out and the rest of it is okay. Winter 99, super repetitive. But number 1, I really think, I have thoughts about what my top 5 were, and they're different than ours. So I think that's different. But I do think after everything, I think Fall 97 should have been 1. I'm sorry, Brian. Don't hate me.
There's no hate. I don't agree.
He's like, I'm
with
not
that.
mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah,
I just don't agree.
he is. He's
I
trying to
think
figure
the
out how to say it.
biggest. No, I think the biggest misrank we made and that fans made was Summer 98, which we aligned with the fans on as this at the number 4
Yeah.
tour. And I think when we listened to it, we had made a turn around like our top 9, Fall 21, Summer 95, Summer 97, or sorry, top 8, Summer 93, and then Summer 98. And like when you go from Fall 21 to Summer 95 to Summer 97, those tours are so intense and so good, and they're breaking down barriers. And then you go back to Summer 93, which doesn't have as many jams, but like they are pushing boundaries. And then you go to Summer 98, it's just really nice. It's really fun and it's really pleasant. And I think that there's a little bit of a overweight there because of how pleasant and idyllic that tour is. There's not a ton of conflict. There's cover songs, beautiful jamming. Trey's tone sounds amazing. But I think as you're building the series up and making these cases of importance, and this happened and this was broken, and then you get to Summer 98 and you're just kind of like, that was fun. it was a really fun tour, you know. So that would be my number one personally.
You don't think like that trend? It is interesting though, that transition between like the kind of reinvention and the millennial sound. Like it's such a bridge, that tour, in a way that I think is, I don't know, it's interesting.
It almost feels
I
to
don't think it should be
me
that
the
high
way
either,
I
but
hear the late 90s is they had this breakthrough into 97, and then it was more and more nuanced breakthroughs after that, but not like a full vibe shift. Like 97 is such a shift in
yeah,
sound.
yeah.
Um, and then when you go into 98 and 99, when you talk, I think accurately about the repetitiveness of 99, you start to get that in 98, where it's a
Yeah.
very pleasant feel. There's some great jams like the Runaway Jim from Burgettstown, the Lemon Wheel and Bean Jam, tons more I'm forgetting. But I'm not saying we like drop it off the list. I just think it could have probably dropped 3 or 4 slots.
Hmm. That's
What do you think,
interesting.
RJ?
I mean, I liked that tour going back to it, but maybe it's just because it was just a lot of fun. And you know
I
me,
know.
I'm all about fun.
I mean, I loved it
Um,
too. I
yeah.
think like Summer 97 has like more of a narrative arc, but like, I don't know. It's a really fun tour. But yeah, I can see that. It's pleasant.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's true.
It being
I
better
mean,
than
I
Summer 95 is just like problematic in my head, I guess. But you know, that's just me.
haven't done the math on the delta, but it feels like maybe was 90, not was Summer 98, was Summer 98 and then the Summer 97 Europe tour are the two that had the biggest differences between us and the fans that made the top 25. Pretty close, that
So,
and Summer 93.
oh yeah, Summer 93
Yeah.
fans voted that 12, we voted at 5. Summer Europe 97 fans voted that 8, we voted at 21.
I mean, I'm surprised honestly that the summer 2003 tour was not in the top 25 fan vote.
Totally.
Are you?
Kind of, because I feel like, well, I know that you think that like generally like
People
the
hate
people
2.0.
hate 2.0. There's it's like
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
that's what
It's a common
like-
it's a common conception.
that's what UFO people think about like the general population. It's like those people are always listening to me. I'm just saying I don't know if that really exists, but I guess it does because of the vote.
It totally does.
I feel like most people I talk to are like, why does everyone hate 2.0? 2.0 is fucking awesome. Like everyone I know says that. So like I don't know where the other people are except me.
Me.
I'm not online.
Like, I'm always on the other side of
fully
that.
prove this, but I know for a fact I can't give you the tweets because I deleted them because I didn't want Elon looking at them. I could show you conversations that I had with people for years where I would say, hey, this is like a really good jam that if you like this style of fish that's being played, this is kind of a darker, dingier side of it. And people are like, we don't listen to 2.0. 2.0 is just not played because it's sludgy and it's gross and they're all on drugs the whole time and nobody could, like, the jams are just long and abstract. And I don't think it's a reach to say that is a common feeling within the fan base.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really know who those people are, what people say, but I do think that both of the 2.0 tours, the 2003 tours on here, are underrated. I mean, those two tours, listening back, completely blew me away. And that was a blind spot for me, for sure. And I think listening back to those tours in a full way, like I've heard isolated parts of them, but I've never listened to both of those tours fully. And it was eye-opening. And I just think, especially Winter, like that tour, just like the combination of like endless jams, great set listing, bust outs, like it's just, there's such a specific sound to it. It's so re-listenable.
Yeah.
This is a really good point here by Mr. Weinstein that I think is the general vibe around it. Half 2.0 isn't fucking awesome though, which I would agree with that to an extent. There is some really, really rough stuff happens there. It's easy to color the whole time as quote bad when the last 10 months is a slow motion car crash. I think that's what people hung on to, that it ended really badly with August 2004 with Coventry. And so why would you go back and celebrate an era of druggy excess and sloppy playing and dark, dismal jamming?
Well, it's an important part of their history. And some
Thank
of
you.
it's fucking awesome. I just don't
Insert-
understand.
Insert the Steve Carell thank you gif. God.
I don't know. I think it's weird to categorize that like that. Yeah, I think
I do
people are
too.
sour from Coventry.
Yeah,
They are.
yeah. It sucked. It was awful.
Yeah.
Do you think people are more sour about Mondegreen or Coventry at this point?
Maybe just like a little bit Coventry, but like a little bit. Everybody's gonna start hating me because, like, if you saw me at Mondegreen, I was having the time of my life. But
Like the food options at Modern Fish Festivals compared to Coventry. My God. The
everything,
amount of like
everything.
plates of French fries I ate there for like $14 because that was all that they could serve.
Oh God, the bathroom situation,
Not
impressive.
good. Not good.
Mondegreen,
No.
so many good things at Mondegreen.
I
No
think that
catapult.
my only take is that I think that the summer '97 U.S. tour, which was ranked 3 by fans, is a little much. I do think that we had. I think any of our top 3 tours could have easily been number 1. I think that was one of my main
Yeah.
takeaways. Like I think
Mhm.
Fall '94 could easily be the number 1 tour of all time. Like
I thought that coming out of it,
musically,
yeah. Yeah,
right? Like
totally.
it's outrageous, and in some ways more interesting musically than Fall '95 or Fall '97. More
Yeah, it's
Agreed.
most like
innovative.
most risky
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think it kind of fucked Fall 97 up for me. I had never heard Fall
going back to back.
97. I'd never heard Fall 97 the way I did after I listened to Fall 94. And I was like, wait a second. That band was riding like a 8-armed monster, communicating, taking risks, taking chances. This band is kind of like, let's play some funk chords and let Trey solo for 19 minutes because he thinks he's Jimi Hendrix right now. Like it really messed up my perception of it in
Yeah,
a way that will change how I listen to this band going forward. So yeah, maybe we should have just bit the bullet, and it'll be interesting to do the reordering in 10 years.
Mhm.
What do you guys? Okay, speaking of reordering, why don't you guys give me your top 5?
Okay.
Meg, why don't you
So I have Fall 97 as number 1. I have Fall 94 as number 2. I have Fall 95 as number 3. I don't care what you guys say. I have Summer 97 as number 4. 'Cause I fucking love that tour. And then I'm at a tie for 5 because I'm confused. I don't know if it's Summer 93 or Summer 95. But those are the 2 that I have kind of battling it out for 5. Are you both going to be okay?
Wow,
I'm fine. Yeah, I
I think that's
4 of
great.
your 5 in there. I think it's a good list. It's a really good
Thanks.
list.
I'm
I like that you're
surprised-
able to sneak in Summer US 97.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you have 93 on there. Say
I'm
more
really
about that.
surprised.
I think that's just context. I think that tour is so important for where they go. I didn't love listening back to that tour. It's the same. It's not my favorite kind of fish. I don't love driving. Like I just tension release all this. I'm much more spacier and it's not my vibe, but I do think it's absolutely crucial to where they go historically. And I think that if you don't have one of these earlier 90s tours in your top 5, I don't know. I just feel like there's an importance to having a historical tour on there in that way. And I do think it's weird to have all of your tours just be 94, 95, 97. Like there's something outside of there that is important to acknowledge. So maybe it's not really, that's not like my preference.
Yeah.
I think that's a very fair approach to do it. I kind of took a similar approach with a different result, but I think that's getting you to think contextually is job well done. We did it.
Brian, what do you got?
All right, so my number 1 is the same, Fall 95, and then everything goes crazy. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Number 2, Fall 94.
Mm-hmm.
And this is mainly based on like I will go back and I've already started re-listening to some of these jams
That's
because
so
I'm just
good.
like, what happened here? Incredible Perp says that fashion wise 93 is number 1, which undeniable.
Yes.
Number 3, Fall 97.
Mhm.
And I think again you could take these top 3. This is a tier of its own.
Yeah.
I think in 10 months I could go back and listen to a Fall 97 show and be like, why are you just trying to stir up controversy, dude? Like just listen to the back end of the Haleys and you're good. Number 4, Summer 95. That's my sound, that's my vibe. I'm pretty outspoken about 1995 Fish being really, really, really good. If not great, if not the greatest. And I think you got to have that type of jamming and exploration in there. And then I went really, really hot take here. Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Fall 21.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. 5. Wow.
Here's my rationale. And I think you made a point about this. The 94, 95, 97 stuff, a lot of that has to be in your top 5. That's just the condensed, everything is aligned peak, plus we're exploring to discovering new sounds Fish. And I think that how they not come back in 09, how they not come back after COVID, that legacy holds up. And
Yeah.
you're still getting box sets that are being reviewed by Rolling Stone. You still get people online discussing past jams. Like you still get the vibe around the band. I think that fall 2021 and then to a lesser extent, spring 23, sorry, RJ, and summer 24 have changed the dynamics of what we will think of this band whenever they ultimately do call it quits in such a way that you have to honor that. And I think if we didn't have these early 2020s tours, when you think 10, 20, 30 years from now, and we're probably still talking Fish, don't fight it. It's going to happen. We're like, there's gonna be historical contextual conversations about this band until the end of time. This era
God, I
is
hope
going to be
not.
as important.
We're going to
It's
make
going
you
to be-
still be podcasting with us.
It's going to be as important to why this band was so important overall from a historical standpoint as the stuff in the mid 90s. So that's it.
I
Fight
totally
it.
agree with that. No,
Come at
I
me.
totally agree with that. And I
And
think
come at me online. You got to text me. None of you have my number. So,
I think it's true because I think that's what makes the band still relevant today. And I think that that is an important part of what should be considered of their top tours. So I like it. I think it's bold.
thank you.
Wow. All right. I would
What about
put
you?
fall 94 first, fall 97 second, fall 95 third, summer 95 fourth. And I think I would put winter 2003 as fifth. And
Nice.
Oh
This
my
Hell
is-
yes.
I know. Well,
I
here's
love
why.
that. I love
I think this is the
that.
most I think that what's the most interesting tour between the end of between Big Cypress and 2009.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So you have
Yeah.
you take December 99 and summer
10 years.
2009. It's the most interesting thing that happened. They're all the shows are good. There's the BB King sit-in, which kind of actually almost takes it out of the ranking just because it's just such a bizarre in a short tour like that, like having one half of a show that just is sort of bizarre, it kind of
Yeah.
fucks up the whole thing, but it's okay.
But then you get the twists later in the show that kind of makes up for it. So you have that.
Yeah. And for me, contextually listening, this is one of the tours so when I listened to Summer 03 and then much later listened to this, I was like, this is, first of all, it's so different from Summer 03. I think it was like 5 weeks
Yeah.
later.
It's so
And
weird.
it's such a better sound. Like the way that Trey's tone is different, the way that the band is like playing together is different. Even like that first show from Vegas, or the second show from Vegas, the whole thing is like awesome. I mean, I don't know, like there are these jams, and of course there's like the Gin from Cincy and the Nassau show, but some like every show has something, and like the growling guitar with the effects and Mike driving these like grooves and the Ghosts in particular on that tour. I think it's just an amazing sound that I like really didn't
Yes.
like as much, and probably wouldn't have liked as much if I didn't listen to this, the tour as it unfolded in terms of the series. So I thought it really kind of changed my mind about Fish. I think the 97, 98, 99 stuff was less good to me than I
Mhm.
expected,
Yeah.
which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Totally surprising. I didn't realize I was seeing a top 5 tour when I was, I was released from daycare and allowed to go to Fish at the Rosemount Horizon. Sorry, the
Did.
Allstate Arena. And I had a good time. I had no idea I was seeing top 5 Fish. This is cool. Thank you.
You don't know it when you're in it. I have to say, you don't know it when you're in it. I certainly didn't know it, but I
think that's the
totally agree,
truth.
RJ. I love that pick because I think that is the tour that surprised me the most out of this whole and stood out as something such a singular sound that it's just phenomenal that it happened and that it stands out so much. When you have to listen to so much Fish, it's exciting when something really grabs you.
Yeah.
That tour is like that.
And I don't want to Brian, I don't want to call you out, but I do think the Summer 93 tour is probably one of the most listened to just in terms of shows by me and probably a lot of people who collected tapes and stuff. And I think going back to that, there were some moments there, but I think largely it's hard. It's kind of hard to get through, I think, because
Summer 93.
Summer 93, being up that high, I'm a little bit now looking back on it and going through those shows. By the time you get halfway through that tour, it's okay, we got a Stash, we got a Bowie, we got a Mike's. We're building tension, we're building peaks, So that's my only that's one that would go down. Go down the list for me.
I can see that.
I think Meg makes a really strong point for context for that tour, which far be it for me to disagree with a contextual argument. But I think when I listen back to it, it was kind of the only tour of this entire series that I said, oh man, thank God there's really no jam charted entries for these 10 shows.
Exactly.
even fall 94, 95 that are longer and have a slight delay to the onset of the greatness. I was kind of because I love the sound of those tours, I was digging around more. Whereas August 93, I was kind of I need to get the highlights and then I need to get out.
Yeah. It's a lot of repetition.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to wrap it up soon, but what do you guys want to share about your personal journey on this series? Personal, professional.
Meg, why don't you go?
I think one thing I was really thinking about a lot, there's a few things, is that we're just so spoiled by modern Fish. Thinking about how they connect so fast in jamming now and how diverse it is and how it just draws on so many years of their styles and so many songs to make set lists interesting. I feel like it makes it harder to sometimes appreciate a lot of the older tours without feeling bored by the repetition. And so for me, it was a real challenge sometimes to remain engaged in tours that were more thematically one note. And I think that was something that I had to push through. And for me, my favorite tours were the tours that either showed a huge narrative arc that was usually kind of some push and evolution or had a really specific sound. And it was cool to bounce between the eras, but I found it really challenging to compare back to back different eras. I was thinking that I would love to actually take these top 25 tours and put them in chronological order and listen to them highlights in that way, because then you could really hear the sound evolve in an organic and the way that it really happened. It's very confusing to go from winter 99 summer 2017. It just, for me, it was a lot of placing myself somewhere contextually that was really challenging when I had just been somewhere so different. So I almost feel like there was a learning curve for me in being able to isolate the tour and place it where it belonged when I had just been somewhere else. And also just made me realize so much about what I love musically about this band and how much I really seek out jamming or a sound that's really searching, and how often a lot of their, especially their early stuff, is not like that. It's very driving. It's very linear and going one place. And for me, the expansiveness of the way that they jam now and the way that they started to shift towards in the late 90s is really what's kept me super engaged with this band, because I'm looking for that. I want a journey. I want a narrative arc in a jam. I want them to feel like they're discovering it in the moment, even if it takes a while to get there. And I think that's been really made clear to me through this. But also just their constant drive for reinvention and evolution is something that has inspired me so much. And I think that seeing this project through has really brought that home for me, and that I don't know if there'll ever be another band for me that does this, because it's so present in every one of their eras. This need for reinvention is just so inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, I found the way that it's an interesting idea to go through this chronologically, which maybe now to double check if we got everything right. 2025 HF Pod, we will be going through all the top tours chronologically. Um, I think the thing that ultimately stuck out is similar to what you said, that they're just in a constant state of evolution. They're always looking towards what's next, even when they're peaking within a specific style. And regardless the type of music that they're playing, be it that really abrasive and aggressive speed jazz in 93, or these long abstract wild jams in 95, or the funk, or the so on and so forth, no matter what era they're in, even when you have a defined sound, which I think if you're thinking about like the rubric for these tours, that's kind of one of the core things, is all these tours had a very defined sound where they'd reached a point, but even when they reach that, they're still pushing, they're still looking for what's next. And that constant tension, that constant ebb and flow, is push and pull is exactly what I'm looking for from music in a lot of ways. And I don't think I've ever found it in any band better than Fish. And I think similar to you, Meg, I don't know if I ever will. And I think that's what makes them just ripe for exploration and discovery and discussion. And the reason why year after year, I still think, okay, what shows am I going to? I'm webcasting everything. I'm listening to everything. Like, who am I talking to about this? Like, it's a constant part of my life for that reason. So I think it was more just like affirmed on this tour than made me realize something I didn't already know. It was just cool to go through that process with them.
Yeah, I think in addition to what you guys said, and as attendance by it's Brian said, the real best tour was the friends we made along the way, which is true. It's so true. Including you, Brian. So thank you.
We finally broke through and became friends. You're right. That's a good point.
In addition to that, like the points you guys made, which I agree with, I think for me, like always thinking about these tours was a kind of like each tour was like a monolith, like you think about Fall 94 and you think about like 5 or 6 like jams. Same with basically every tour. It's like, oh, this tour had like these awesome jams. But I think when you look at it in the way we did, you see the way that the sound changes in a tour, which I don't think I ever really like fully appreciated before. I think there are multiple tours that we talked about it a lot, I think, in the context of the project, but they're these, I mean, it even happened with like Fall 95. Fall 95 was clear, I guess. And we maybe knew that all along, that they like kind of got toward the Fall 95 sound as the tour went on. But even the Fall 97 sounds changed slightly along the way, or like Fall 94 as they got further into November, everything changed. And like some of these tours, the first show of the tour and the last show of the tour are like almost sound like different bands. And I think that is something I probably didn't fully appreciate before, because again, I think there's so much Fish to listen to. So it's like, if you want to listen to like Summer 95, here are like 10 jams you can listen to. But if you listen to the whole tour, you realize that the sound at the beginning and the sound at the end is totally different. And where they are as a band is different. And it just, they go on these 40, 50, 30, 20, whatever show runs together, and they change, and it's just something that's really interesting that I think is kind of brought out or reinforced by a project like this.
Yeah, I think that was, to me, one of the things that really stood out with my favorite tours, and the ones that are the best have the biggest evolution in them. They're like you said earlier, Brian, they're a peak, but they're still changing within that peak, which is just like, who does that? Like almost anybody gets good at something and you just stay there. Like you don't, but they never do that. Their best tours, they're peaking and they're still pushing. And it's crazy. Like that was, to me, why Fall 97, like, even though it is, people think of it one way, it is really not. They are really pushing themselves to change even while they're developing a new sound. It's crazy. And I don't think that is something that many people do in art unless they're absolutely at another level.
Yeah, and I guess like I would say, like to all of that, the one thing that surprised me in listening to this was the experience I had listening to Fall 94, because it was a tour I really respected. I felt like was in the right slot at number 3. But I remember as we got closer to it, kind of thinking like, I'm really gonna have to spend some time here because I don't feel like I have as much of a grip on why this is number 3 compared to Fall 97, Fall 95 being 2 and 1, and going through it and realizing how many of those shows and how many of those jams the band was literally just like, we're going to play in a manner that could absolutely fail right now. And the fact that we're willing to do this night after night after night and kind of play music without really caring if your audience is interested, kind of because you as the artist need to work through this. That's a experience with like mass art that I just don't think we get enough. And I think ultimately is a huge reason why I keep listening to them, keep thinking about them, and why it was worthy to do a series like this, because you want to hear them as they're working through those changes and as they're evolving and as they're peaking and then saying, okay, that's not enough. Where do we go next? What do we do next? And trying to figure that all out.
And I mean, clearly we've said this, but like they were doing that when they were supposed to be building an audience and playing their biggest shows ever. Like,
Right.
it's fucking amazing. That tour is incredible. The number
Well,
2.
we made some we agreed on some stuff, we disagreed on some stuff, but it was amazing. What a fun project. Thanks everybody for tuning in and following along with us. We are going to come back next week, I think next week, right? And recap the
Mhm.
MSG shows, maybe at the end of next week, maybe next weekend. We don't really know. There are no weeks or weekends now. So what I'm talking about is like in the future sometime. Not too long after the show's end, but not right when they end. So we'll be back. But Brian, what are we going to do in 2025?
So we got some stuff. The first 3 months of the year, so the first quarter is going to be kind of a return of form of sorts. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of a break from the series approach, and we're going to do some random shows that we've never discussed before, shows that someone may want to bring to the fold. Give ourselves a little bit of a lighter workload, work week to week, where we just have to listen to one show rather than jams from 655 shows. Maybe we'll have some guests on. We are going to recap MSG, like you said. We are going to do a 2024 show draft. That will happen in early January, where we draft our favorite shows from 2024 and see which Mondegreen show we can leave Meg with.
Don't you just love how they're like, we're going to reduce the workload, except we're going to do a draft where you have to listen to an entire tour.
Yeah.
Do you?
This is so good. Well, some of us do.
No.
You've already
No.
listened to it all recently. We know.
I have, yeah. But then, so January, February, March, we'll kind of be doing these like random fun shows. So if there's shows you guys want to hear us talk about that you think like, man, I love this show and nobody talks about it, send us a voicemail and we'll
What's up?
consider it. It could be fun to do some fan requested shows. And then we have a couple of ideas that we're kicking around for the majority of 2025, and it may last into 2026, where we've got a couple ideas for our next series that we're trying to figure out exactly how to do, and what we should do in 2025 versus what we should do in 2026 and so on, to keep things fresh for you guys. So lots to come. Going to be another big year. 40 for 40 in 2023, top 25 tours in 2024. Who knows what we will have in store in 2025, but you will find out soon enough.
It's crazy.
David Blumenthal
No,
recommended the top 25 big ball jam draft.
I am
I'm
out
busy.
that week.
I'm busy that day.
I'll do that by
Got a lot
myself.
going on.
Whatever.
Can't make it.
I heard that was really fun in person, though. Really cool that they just made noises for like 4 minutes. It's awesome.
You had to be
Maybe it
there,
should-
man, is what people would say. Huh?
Exactly, man.
They should do that. They should do that with a vocal jam and just put it all together and do that big ball jam, vocal jam, and then
Don't
then we
give
got
them any
something
ideas,
cooking.
please. This is
Something
like
cooking.
a nightmare.
All right. So we are going to be back for a New Year's run recap. Maybe we'll have a guest on. Maybe we won't. We don't really know because you know how we do it here. But you guys should leave us reviews and tell your friends about how awesome HF Pod is because we're still here. We're still having fun. We hope you're all having fun. I think that's it, guys. Right?
I think that's it. Come say hi if you see us at MSG.
Yeah. Then come to the 29th. We'll be at the Irish Exit, which is in the Moynihan Train Hall, and then we'll go to the show. But yeah, thank you guys for listening and commenting and sharing and reviewing and all that. It's been fun doing this series, and we will see you right after the MSG run.
Bye,
See
everyone.
y'all.